Okay, continue. Did you all hear that? Okay, sick. So I'm Chris Lopez, and I'm going to be playing the role of the amateur content creator.
My name is Jinhao Lu, and I'm going to be the host of the podcast today.
My name is Samuel, and I'm playing the role of internet content hosting company.
My name is Jaoquin, and I'm playing Internet Regulation Government Officer.
Hello all, welcome to Now Tech Podcast, and I'm your host, Jinhao. Today's topic is about internet regulation, and I'm happy to have three guests here today, Jaoquin, Chris, and Samuel to join us. The internet has been around us for a few decades, and it has brought us countless benefits in connecting people around the world and incubating creativity and productivity. However, as the internet involves data privacy and intellectual property and many other topics, it is also increasingly facing scrutiny with its maturity. Therefore, with the internet also comes internet regulation, which places restrictions on our access to certain types of data while protecting us in the online community. We think it would be nice to bring to our audience an open conversation on internet regulation, what the regulator and content producer think about internet regulation and its impacts, and what are new developments online. Now, let's hear to our first guest today, Samuel, who represents an internet content hosting company. Samuel, as someone responsible for managing online platforms, what are your thoughts on internet regulation? How do you navigate the challenges posed by regulations while ensuring a safe and open environment for content creators and users?
Thank you, Jinhao, for having me on the podcast. As an internet content hosting company, we understand the importance of striking a balance between regulation and maintaining an open platform for content creators and users. Internet regulation is a complex landscape, and it presents both challenges and opportunities for us. One of the key aspects we focus on is ensuring compliance with existing regulations related to data privacy, copyright infringement, and hate speech. We have a robust system in place to handle user-generated content and employ technologies like content filtering and moderation to detect and remove any inappropriate or illegal content. This helps us create a safer online environment and protect the rights of individuals and organizations. At the same time, we also recognize the need to foster creativity and free expressions. We work closely with content creators, providing them with guidelines and support to navigate the regulatory landscape while encouraging innovation. Our goal is to create an inclusive platform where diverse voices can be heard and users can freely express themselves within the boundaries set by applicable regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. And my second question goes to Jaoquin. Hello, Jaoquin. You're responsible for internet regulation as a government officer. Could you give us your definition of internet regulation? And in your opinion, what the key topics areas of internet regulation are? And what are the effects of internet regulation? Also, do you see some new developments online that need internet regulations?
Hi, Jinhao. Thanks for having me today to speak on such an important topic. I'm excited to get into this topic and show you how we use the internet and how that can affect others in the vast space. So getting into the topic of internet regulation, it's an important component in navigating the internet. it is the laws and the regulations put in place in order to manage and protect the countless data that is easily accessible. As a result of creating the internet, data runs rampant and it's easily accessible. There needs to be a way to supervise what goes on in this new terrain of technology. So while there are many benefits to the internet, there are also many dangers that are lurking that the users need to be protected from. So as a government officer, I would say that the key topic areas of internet regulation is that its main concern is data privacy and protection. That's highlighted in the first instance of internet regulation by the government, which actually occurred in the 90s. So it's been pretty recent. The particularly important piece of legislation is called the Telecommunications Act of 1996. It's a set of laws that says how the internet should be used, and it just ensures that the users of the internet aren't abusing what they can do on the space. And as a result of my job as a regulation officer, the internet is safe and the harmful data is hidden and it's prevented from being accessed. So we just make sure that some users don't have access to certain information online, like your privacy, like your private information, like financial stuff, things like that. But as a result of my job, some people actually see it as a negative with us like censoring their usage of the government. They see our restrictions as a hindrance to the right of their free usage. And they don't see that we protect the internet from the dangers that the internet poses. So like places like China are actually where you can see that it's actually censorship, because like the internet is heavily monitored and there are only like some certain like things that you can access. And the internet regulation does mean like less privacy for users. That means like access to monitor your activity to make sure you're not committing like acts of terrorism or stuff like that. And as a result of this, we actually have like many people like going to court trying to fight us for more rights for their privacy. But I always believe that in exchange for like safety on the internet, you have to give up some of your privacy. And your last question was actually interesting because I'm sure that you're aware of artificial intelligence and how it has a boom of activity in recent times. We're actually working to develop regulations, like the developments, like as developments on artificial intelligence come up. It's a completely new frontier in technology. So we have to make sure that while it's being developed, there are certain things that are being addressed to make sure that data privacy and other areas of the web space are protected. And it was actually interesting that Samuel, like he's like his job as internet content hosting company, like his job monitoring like the regulations that happen on the platforms that he regulates is very important in my job as an officer, like regulating the information that runs rampant online. So yeah, thank you for having me on your podcast today.
Thank you, Jaoquin, for sharing your distinctive opinions with us. And my last question goes to Chris. Hello, Chris. You're now quite a hit online with all your stand-up videos. As an amateur content producer and an online celebrity, I believe your view on internet regulation would be representative of that of your counterparts. Do you think that internet regulation has influenced your content production or creativity? In which way? Could you give us some examples?
Yeah. So hi, Jinhao. Thank you for having me on this podcast. For those that don't know what I do, I am an amateur content creator, and my content is also a podcast. But our podcast is very nonchalant, and we like to be unfiltered, sort of like an online Letterman bit. And so I think it is, I'm just going to start it off. I think it is funny that Joaquin says that some people think that his job is a hindrance, because I am those people. I find that my content tends to be more vulgar. And so as I dive into more political things that happen day to day, and I comment on those, I find that in certain places my content will be shadow banned or restricted. Like I saw that was heavily prevalent when women were able to drive in Saudi Arabia. So women's suffrage in the Middle East, or maybe the situation going on with the Uyghur people in China. I find that my content tends to be suppressed when I talk about things that are touchy subjects. And so not only that, I also think that, well, censorship isn't the only thing that gets regulated online. Copyright and trademark infringements are prevalent everywhere. On my podcast, I can't even say the words "It's Taco Tuesday" without being fined by the FCC. And so, because of things like this, I find that it is really, I am influenced heavily by regulations, and I have to sort of pivot my content away from what I want it to be and what I think the viewers want it to be, but rather things that can remain accessible by everyone. Because at the end of the day, the content that I'm producing is my livelihood and my source of income. And so as more and more regulations start to pile on, I find that what I try to produce is less of me and more of me entertaining the internet, rather. So yeah.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing your perspective on how internet regulation has impacted your content production. Today, we had an insightful conversation about internet regulation with our guests, Samuel, Jaoquin, and Chris. Overall, this discussion highlighted the complex nature of internet regulation and its impacts on content production and creativity. It emphasized the need for thoughtful and balanced regulations to ensure online safety, protect rights, foster innovation, and maintain freedom of expression. We hope our audience found this conversation informative and thought-provoking. Please stay tuned for more engaging topics in the future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. All right.